Two people, same market, the same 7% average return, the same finish line at age 65. One starts at 25 and puts away $200 a month. The other waits until 35, then puts away $500 a month. Everyone already knows the answer to this one. Start early. Compounding does the rest. So let's run the numbers and watch that answer fall apart. Here is the setup. Person A invests $200 every month from age 25 to age 65. That is 40 years or 480 monthly deposits. Person B invests $500 every month from age 35 to age 65. That is 30 years or 360 deposits. Both earn 7% a year, compounded monthly. Nobody withdraws anything. Nobody misses a payment. Start with what each person actually puts in. Person A contributes $200 for 180 times. That is $96,000 of their own money. Person B contributes $500 360 times. That is $180,000. Person B is putting in almost twice as much cash, despite investing for 10 fewer years. Now the balance is at 65. Person A, the early starter, finishes with about $525,000. Person B, the late starter, finishes with about $610,000. Person B wins by roughly $85,000. Read that again, because it contradicts the advice you have heard your whole life. The person who waited 10 years ends up with more money. Not less. More. But we are not done, because that number alone is misleading. The interesting question is not who has more. It is where the money came from. Person B put in $84,000 more than Person A. Person B finished $85,000 ahead. So essentially, every dollar of Person B's lead is a dollar Person B paid for out of their own pocket. The market did not hand it to them. They bought it. Look at the growth instead of the balance. Growth is what the market added on top of your deposits. Person A contributed $96,000 and ended with $525,000. That is about $429,000 of pure growth. Person B contributed $180,000 and ended with $610,000. That is about $430,000 of growth. $429,000 versus $430,000. Over 40 years, the difference in growth between these two people is around $1,000. That is a rounding error. Sit with that. Person A's $96,000 generated the same investment growth as Person B's $180,000. Same market, same return. Person A simply gave each dollar more time to work. Every dollar Person A invested did about 1.6 times the work of every dollar Person B invested. That is what starting early actually buys you. It does not buy you a bigger number at the end. It buys you the same result for less of your own money. So how much would Person A need to invest to tie Person B? Not $500 a month. Not $400. $232 a month. An extra $32 a month at age 25 matches $500 a month at age 35. That is one restaurant meal, set against more than double the monthly commitment 10 years later. That is the real headline. Waiting 10 years did not cost Person B their retirement. It cost them the option to be casual about it. Person A could contribute a small amount, forget the account existed, and still land in the same place. Person B has to be disciplined, contribute aggressively, and keep it up for 30 straight years. Same destination, much less room for error. Now the honest part, because these numbers are cleaner than reality. 7% is a long-run average, not a promise. Real markets do not return 7% every year. They return 22%, then -18, then 9. If a bad decade lands right before you retire, your ending balance can look nothing like this. That is called sequence of returns risk, and it hurts Person B more, because Person B has less time to recover. These figures are also in nominal dollars. Inflation is not subtracted. At 3% inflation, Person A's $525,000 has the purchasing power of roughly $160,000 of today's dollars. The comparison between the two people still holds. The absolute number should not impress you as much as it does. We also ignored fees and taxes. A 1% annual fee would quietly remove a large share of that growth over 40 years, and it removes more from Person A, because Person A is invested for longer. Taxes depend entirely on the account type. Both effects are real, and neither changes which person wins. And both people here are fictional in the most important way. They never missed a month. They never sold in a crash. They never raised or lowered their contribution. No actual human does this for 40 years. So what does this mean for your decision? If you are 25 and the number you can afford is small, invest it anyway. The math says a small amount, started now, is worth far more than the large amount you are promising yourself you will invest later. And if you are 35, the math is not telling you that you missed your window. It is telling you the window is still open and the price of admission just went up. Starting early does not mean you get to end up with more. It means less of what you end up with has to come out of your own pocket. This is educational content, not financial advice.